14 years ago, I left Elmhurst to escape a truth no one believed. Now I've returned, holding a key that could unlock the secret that killed my mother, destroyed the only man I ever loved, and turned my past into someone else's game. My name is Clarissa Vell. I never wanted to return to Elmhurst. For 14 years, I stayed away from the town that buried my mother with whispers and blamed a child for something they never understood. But when I received a letter sealed in wax, no return address, no sender name, everything changed. Inside was a single line: "He never stopped looking for you." I should have burned it. I should have ignored the clawing feeling in my chest. But the name at the bottom, Everett Hale, was the one name I thought I'd never hear again. The only person who ever believed me. I arrived in Elmhurst in the pouring rain. The town hadn't changed, except maybe it had forgotten how to smile. Windows were dimmer, doors closed quicker. The bakery where Everett used to leave me cinnamon buns on the ledge was boarded up. The Hale estate still towered on the hill, surrounded by iron gates and wild ivy. And then there was Daniel. He opened the door before I knocked, like he'd been waiting. His eyes were as gray as I remembered, but colder now. He wasn't Everett. Everett was gone, buried under scandal and mystery and a silence that screamed for justice. But Daniel Hale, Everett's younger brother, was the new keeper of the estate, and apparently of its secrets too. "You came," he said, as if it were a curse. "I got a letter." His jaw tightened. So did 10 others. I blinked. "What?" He handed me a list, names I didn't recognize. All women, all with one thing in common. Each of us had been close to Everett in some way. Each of us had received the same letter. And now, we were all here. That night, the Hale estate felt like a trap disguised as a reunion. The drawing room was dim, the paintings still intact, including the haunting portrait of Everett at 28, just a year before his death. A letter had been placed under each of our dinner plates. Mine read, "To find the truth, you must go back to the lie." It started again. The riddles, the whispers, the sensation that someone was always watching. At midnight, we heard the first scream. A woman named Mira, she had dated Everett briefly, was found in the greenhouse, clutching an old photo. It was torn down the middle. On the back, scrawled, in ink, "You forgot me once, never again." No one could explain how it got there. No one admitted to seeing anything. Daniel called the police, but they arrived hours later, too late. And that's when I realized something far darker was at play. Everett's death wasn't an accident. It wasn't suicide. It wasn't what they wrote in the newspaper. It was unfinished. Someone wanted us here. Someone wanted us to pay. And someone was making sure we remembered what we tried to forget. I stood in the hall that night, staring at the portrait of Everett. His painted eyes seemed to follow me, and the edges of the canvas had started to curl. Behind the frame, I noticed something strange. A small key, wrapped in velvet, stained at the edge. I took it. The velvet-wrapped key burned in my hand. Not with heat, but with memory. I knew I shouldn't have taken it without telling Daniel, but something deep in my bones told me he was part of the performance, not the truth. By dawn, Mira had vanished from the estate. Not dead, not harmed, just gone, her room empty, her things untouched. Her name crossed off the list we had seen the night before. Daniel acted surprised, but when I looked into his eyes, I saw a flicker of relief, or perhaps victory. I didn't trust him. I never had. After everyone was asleep, I slipped through the corridor I remembered from childhood, the East Wing, where no servants were ever allowed and where Everett once told me a door led to a place no one else had seen. I followed the path, counting floorboards like we used to. 7 steps from the oil lamp, 3 tiles with faded floral patterns. The keyhole sat behind a bookshelf, just as he said. The key fit. Inside was a single room lined with journals. Everett's. All of them organized, coded, numbered. Every volume traced the months leading up to his death. The last journal ended a week before the accident. But what I found beneath that journal chilled me to the core. A letter, addressed to me, "Clarissa, if you're reading this, it means you came back, even when I begged you not to." I'm sorry for what they did to your mother. She knew too much. You were never supposed to see it. But you did. I need you to remember what you saw that night. Because the truth didn't die with her. It's still buried here. And someone is willing to kill for it. Daniel isn't who you think he is. You must find the black envelope. It's hidden where the blood never dried. Everetti clutched the paper until it wrinkled in my palm. Blood never dried. That had to mean the cellar. The room the housekeepers never entered. The room locked for 15 years. I waited until the others left for a walk that afternoon and orchestrated distraction. I snuck into the cellar, heart pounding as I descended the stairs. The air smelled of old wood and something metallic. The shadows in the room seemed to curl toward me. In the center, beneath the rotting beams, was a wooden trunk. A dark stain crusted its edges. I opened it. Inside, wrapped in layers of silk, was the black envelope. Inside it, a confession. Everett Hale was never the heir to the Hale fortune. Daniel was. But Everett discovered the money wasn't clean. It was blood money, investments tied to illegal trials, experimental drugs, patients who had died in unregistered facilities. My mother was a whistleblower. She tried to expose the company. And that night, when the car crashed, it wasn't just a crash. It was staged. Everett had found the truth and died for it. I turned to find Daniel standing at the top of the stairs. You weren't supposed to open that, he said. No panic, no confusion, just cold clarity. You killed him, I said. You and your father. He shook his head. No, we only helped him disappear. My breath caught. What? Everett knew they would kill him. He wanted to vanish. So we staged it. But he made one mistake. He trusted the wrong person to deliver the final envelope. You, I said. He nodded. I kept it. I was ashamed. But now that you've read it, it's over. He walked toward me slowly, deliberately. But then footsteps, heavy, urgent. A man entered the room. His beard was fuller now, hair streaked with gray. My heart stopped. Everett? He looked at me like I had returned from the dead. I hoped you'd never come back, he whispered. But I knew you would. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. Daniel stepped back, speechless for the first time. Everett crossed the room, hands shaking. I watched from afar. I tried to stay away. But when I heard you were coming, I sent the letters. I needed someone to finish what I couldn't. I didn't care about the lies, the money, or the secrets. I cared that he was alive, that everything we believed was shattered. But the one thing I lost had returned. He reached out, took my hand. I loved you then. I never stopped. Tears blurred my eyes. Why didn't you tell me? Because loving you would have made you a target. We left the cellar together. Daniel said nothing. There was nothing left for him to say. That night, Everett and I sat by the fire in the room we once read books in. No servants, no secrets, just us. But even then, a question burned in my mind. Who was the 11th name on the list? I asked. He looked at me, then opened the old journal again. There were only 10 names. He never sent 11 letters. Someone else was still playing the game. Someone who hadn't revealed themselves. And the black envelope. It was just